1. RFK Jr. makes major announcement. Live coverage from Tucson. 2. New dietary guidelines, whole milk and dairy products on the rise. 3. RFK Jr. pushes for more dairy in dietary guidelines. What the science says. 1. RFK Jr. makes major announcement. Live coverage from Tucson. Live. RFK Jr. announces groundbreaking news. As the anticipation builds, we're going live with a special announcement from U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This isn't just another press conference. It's a moment that could redefine the health and food policies of our nation. But here's where it gets controversial. RFK Jr. won't be alone. He's set to be joined by the Secretary of Agriculture and the U.S. Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. This trio's collaboration is a bold move that could signal a shift in how these agencies approach health, food safety, and environmental policies. Tune in to our live stream and witness history unfold. You can catch the event in the video player right here on our website or watch the live broadcast on Tucson Now. Live, https://tucsonnow.live. And this is the part most people miss. Ever wondered how these decisions impact your daily life? From the food on your table to the air you breathe, these policies touch every aspect of our lives. It's time to pay attention and engage in the conversation. Do you agree with RFK Jr.'s approach? Or do you think there's another way? Share your thoughts and join the discussion. Let's make this a dialogue that shapes the future of our health and food policies. Copyright 2025-13 News. All rights reserved. 2. New dietary guidelines, whole milk and dairy products on the rise. Breaking nutrition news. The federal government is about to flip the script on what we have been told to pour over our cereal for decades. If you grew up being told to choose skim or 1% milk, brace yourself, because the upcoming U.S. dietary guidelines may once again give whole milk, full-fat yogurt, and classic cheddar their moment in the sun. But here's where it gets controversial. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. argues, we have been waging an unnecessary war on natural dairy fats. And the science, he says, no longer supports that battlefield. At a July 14th press conference on the steps of the USDA headquarters in Washington, D.C., Kennedy confirmed that the Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture will revise the 2020 guidelines before the year is out. The new draft will, in his words, elevate traditional dairy, whole milk included, and acknowledge the growing body of research suggesting that many people benefit from higher intakes of naturally occurring proteins and fats. To underscore the point, Kennedy was joined by Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins and FDA Commissioner Martin Maki, just moments before the dignitaries happily dipped spoons into tubs of ice cream. Yes, real ice cream, the kind critics love to blame for dietary woes. They also announced a parallel industry pledge. By 2027, major food companies intend to eliminate 7 widely used artificial food dyes from ice cream products, further polishing dairy's image. And this is the part most people miss, Kennedy told reporters. Whole milk, cheese, yogurt, these foods have been lumped together with junk snacks on older nutrition charts. That ends now. Our kids deserve guidelines rooted in up-to-date evidence, not decades-old fear of saturated fat. The existing recommendations label whole milk as not nutrient-dense, placing it only a notch above butter-soaked movie theater popcorn. Maki, a surgeon, best-selling author, and longtime critic of the classic food pyramid, called the forthcoming revision a renaissance moment. He blamed what he sees as 70 years of misplaced blame on natural saturated fats, tracing the mindset back to physiologist Dr. Ansel Keys' famed 7-country study. Quick refresher. Starting in 1958, Keys followed 12,763 middle-aged men across the U.S., Finland, Greece, Italy, Japan, the Netherlands, and the former Yugoslavia. His data suggested that Greek men, whose diets featured vegetables, fruit, olive oil, bread, and minimal dairy, had remarkably low heart disease rates. The findings spurred worldwide praise for what we now call the Mediterranean diet. Yet Maki argues the conversation gradually narrowed, turning into groupthink by the 1970s. Other contributors to clogged arteries, refined sugars, sedentary lifestyles, genetic factors were downplayed, he claims, while saturated fat became public enemy number one. That old debate remains alive. A 2025 article in the Journal of Cardiovascular Development and Disease revisited Key's work, acknowledging infinite controversy over saturated fats, but still calling the original study a significant scientific milestone. Even supporters of Key's admit, however, that nutrition science has matured, with more nuanced views emerging on dairy fat's role in overall health. Some newer studies link full-fat dairy to better weight management, improved satiety, and even favorable cholesterol profiles in certain populations, though not every researcher agrees. So what happens next? According to Kennedy, the draft guidelines will land in the next several months. Until then, he and Rollins promise robust collaboration with farmers, nutritionists, and medical experts to hammer out the final language. If approved, school meal standards, hospital menus, and SNAP benefit education materials could all shift to include a stronger recommendation for whole milk options. Of course, none of this erases the big picture. An overall balanced diet, plenty of fruits and vegetables, regular movement, and limited ultra-processed foods still matter. But the new guidance would mark an official reversal of Washington's long-standing low-fat stance. Controversy alert. Will adding more saturated fat to public meal. 3. RFK Jr. pushes for more dairy in dietary guidelines. What the science says. Imagine a world where dairy isn't just a sidekick in your diet, but a superhero. That's the vision Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Health and Human Services, HHS, Secretary, has for the upcoming federal dietary guidelines. He's pushing for a significant expansion of dairy recommendations, and it's sparked a lively debate. But here's where it gets controversial. Not everyone agrees with his stance. Let's dive into the science and see what the experts have to say. Kennedy, during a recent news conference, shared his personal journey with dairy, recalling a time when milk was considered the epitome of health. He emphasized the growing body of research that highlights the need for more protein and fats in our diets, areas where dairy excels. There's a tremendous amount of emerging science that talks about the need for more protein in our diet and more fats in our diet. And there's no industry that does that better than this industry, he stated. Currently, the U.S. dietary guidelines recommend that Americans aged 9 and older consume 3 cup equivalents of dairy daily, or lactose-free or fortified soy alternatives. For children aged 1 to 8, the recommendation ranges from 1.6 to 2.5 cups, depending on their age. This includes a variety of dairy products such as milk, fortified